how to focus fire a hero and bring her down quickly if they have any kind of initiation advantage at all. Compare that to RoX.KIS. They have such an even spread of damage that comes down in a variety of forms. Magic damage, physical damage, and so on and so forth. They have nice AoE stuns, etc. I think this qualifies, a term we've used quite a lot over the last 48 hours or so, as a bit of a thin lineup for Fnatic. They do have some tanky-ish heroes. Certainly the Lycan can hang and bang once he gets a handful of items up, and the Tide can certainly hang. Death Prophet, depending on what build she goes, can feel very survivable and very tanky as well. Witchcraft helps out with that. But it's still, they are going to have to execute based on the back of a synergy of skills of a very particular number of heroes in terms of damage anyway. They have certainly some versatility everywhere else. But yeah, this is definitely a game that I think Fnatic is going to have to try to have control of and basically be arcing towards an inevitable win by 25 to 30 minutes in. Otherwise, RoX can just kind of sit back and chill and be like, that's fine. We're more confident with our composition going late.
Yeah, this is a little bit strange to me that they're putting Centaur mid instead of Invoker. I figured if they put Centaur in safely and get a fast blink on him, they could just kind of, they could take fights head on early on against Fnatic and stop them in their pushes. But this might give some extra levels to Centaur that he needs for that Stampede. But yeah, I thought Invoker might have been a better solo mid against Death Prophet. We'll have to wait and see how this pans out. Goblik already sitting in mid to lend some assistance to.
Oh, Trixie might be in trouble here. Body block wasn't there, and they're going to have to fall back. He will survive just by the skin of his teeth. I was going to say, he was living on the edge, man. He got engaged at bottom, took about half a health bar's worth of damage, and then went right back up the last hit. And now he's still very low. Not enough mana for a Burrow Striker. He'd be in some trouble. He didn't manage to get the clarity off there. He may not want to over-pursue this. And there, finally gets the clarity off. And he's way out there, and yep, for him, having boots emboldens him quite a bit. But we can see he's spending a lot of time away from lane. This is giving just all the solo XP and solo farm they could want to that Invoker. Here in mid, we can see Hani shaping up here. I want to see how this mid lane plays out too, and I would imagine we're going to see some rotational pressure coming from Yol before long.
Trixie manages to juke and jive as Goblik not able to get there in time to stop Trixie. So with the boots, they're actually paying off, and he's kind of annoying the support of Sand King, but Yol does find an invis here, which was not spotted out, I don't think, from Fnatic, because they don't have a rune ward. But here comes Chen. He's already got a creep in mid to kind of spam out, which is spammed a number of times. He's used 500 mana so far, and they did see him, so they put up a sentry. Trixie must have saw just by sitting up on that hill, so he was able to see the invis get picked up by Yol. So yep, good sentry.
Yep, I agree that. I'm like you said, I think they saw him pick up the invis and wanted to stay super safe. They're beginning to pressure Solo a bit. Solo actually had Fly very low in health. Chasing him back under his own tower, was unable to secure a kill. So there's a decent amount of action. Oh, didn't get the good proc on that. They might have killed him if they had gotten one more cask bounce. So a little bit of love from RNG going the way of RoX that time. 3 minutes in, still not a first blood on the board. And I'm sure we'll see No Tail begin to rotate more, though. He is level 3, so slowly arcing towards that level 5.
You know, one of the things that people don't talk about too much is with Centaur is, yeah, he's great and has good initiation. His ulti is really good, but honestly, his attack animation is phenomenal. Like, he is able to get, even with SD, if he wasn't here, he was like owning in CS just because that attack animation is like nearly instant. And basically, Hani can't really get that many CS until he uses his spam. That's pretty much the only way he can get it. So he's up to 10, Centaur's up to 17. And again, Goblik is helping him, but I feel like it would kind of be similar even if Goblik wasn't here.
Didn't get the good bounce again. No Tail's there. Does not have a point into Penitence. Uses Test of Fate to try and do some damage. Didn't have a creep that had a disable. Solo ate some damage, and that's a shame. If he had a Dark Troll Summoner, if he had a Centaur, that's a kill for sure. Instead, Solo makes it back to lane. Yet another missed opportunity as both teams are coming up empty as they look for these early kills. And mid, Hani is going to be disrupted. They may try to do it this time. Sunstrike there. There's the stomp afterwards. A lot of burst, and down he goes. Sudoi finally getting things going with a double edge to finish things off, and that's a great kill. Holding down the Death Prophet certainly limits the potential of Fnatic to make things happen early.
Yeah, we saw the same combo before from RoX.KIS, and it's so effective. And I like how he's not getting returned, too. It's just some extra damage from the Hoof Stomp. And again, this stun is one of the better ones early on in the game. It starts off at level 1 at 2 seconds. That's a really good stun duration. And you couple that with Disruption, Soul Catcher, Sunstrike, boom, you saw it right there. And then finishes it off with a double edge. So good damage potential here from RoX.KIS.
Taking a look at the early CS, we can see the winners are on the side of RoX for the most part. 23, 22, and 20 spread out across the 3 cores of Centaur, Invoker, and Darkseer. 19 CS for the Lycan, so isn't as if he's struggling up here, but not doing as well as he would have hoped, I'm sure, in this situation. Hani in mid at 13. Trixie getting brave with the creeps here. He's going to be spotted by Yol, and there's Goldblack right there with him. Goldblack's level 4, stacking the Shadow Poison up as they try to pursue him. They've got help coming. It's going to be the Invoker. There's a disruption, and Sunstrike, kaboom. 2-0. RoX.KIS takes the lead, and they've brought down, I mean, bringing down Trixie, not nearly as big a deal as bringing down Hani, but still just beginning to pile these up a little bit.
Easy peasy kills, and this is just giving more experience and gold to Sand King too. Like these supports are so good from RoX.KIS. I love this combo. Like, these supports are able to do, they have a lot of utility. Like they can do a lot of things. A Disruptor has so many spells: damage, slow, disruption to save or catch people. Sand King, for obvious reasons, does lots of damage, has a good stun. Also, Solo is doing fantastically in this top lane. That's simply because he's up against a dual lane. The main core farmer is a melee, so he's taking extra damage from the Ion Shell. So he's not able to farm as well as he wants to, or apply harass as much as he wants to. And Chen, it's very difficult to catch him, as you mentioned, without some kind of stunning creep or the troll to trap him in place. So Solo's having just a field day up here.
Looking at the stacks, it's really been a piece of bad luck, it looks like, for No-Tail, because I'm not seeing anything. He's been stacking these creeps, and we're yet to see any kind of a summoner. We're yet to see any kind of a centaur. So a little bit of bad luck, perhaps, causing things to not work out the way he would want. And like you said, well, also, you know, having no reliable stun against the Darkseer just basically means he's going to do what he wants. If you're unable to, I mean, he can cut it as close to the edge as he can, especially early on before Tier 2 boots come out. So long as he's watching for that, he's never going to be in a situation he can't escape for the most part. Nice Shagbark courier, by the way. Love Shagbark and love Cyborg Matt, so I wanted to shout that out. Go buy it! I'm sure Matt will appreciate it. Goldblack is roaming around mid. He's almost he's level 5 now, working towards level 6, and getting down a ward this time to protect against No-Tail drifting down into mid. Yeah,
that's smart. And the fact of the matter, too, is that you mentioned the 3 cores just have way more CS than Fnatic's cores, which is very, very good for them. But also the fact that Invoker's farming more, but he can still have a presence on the map globally. This is just the power of an Exort Invoker. And he can also pressure towers with Forged Spirits, and he almost has double Forged Spirits up. He needs 2 more levels for that.
See, No-Tail did dip down and immediately pinged out by Goldblack, who was on top of things. Actually, I didn't see who pinged it. I'm going to imagine it was Goldblack, though, because it wasn't 60 seconds after he dropped that ward, No-Tail was revealed by it. Drops a ward of his own, so they're aware that Goldblack's up on the high ground as if they weren't from the Shadow Poison anyway. Midas done now on BZZ, who is playing on this Invoker and doing quite a good job. Take a look at the Tide. He's going to be level 6 soon, and that's kind of a point of curiosity for me as well, is how quickly are they going to try to put Ravage to use? Are they just going to continue to let the status quo go until they say get up whatever items they want on Era, who just finished his Vlads, by the way? Or do they start to try and knock RoX.KIS down a little bit? I feel like this early game is definitely favoring RoX, even kills aside.
It is, because they can't pressure towers early on, because Darkseer is over level now. He's level 7.5 nearly. And he will always push up this lane with Ion Shell. It's level 4. So they can't push top, even with Chen creeps. They have to kill him, first of all. But even then, it's going to be a very, very difficult feat to do so, unless you get like a Trapper creep and a Centaur onto No-Tail, and you have to smoke behind and hope that Solo's out of position. So there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts here on the side of Fnatic as far as killing him and taking the tower. But just look at that. They can't pressure it at all.
Selling out onto Hani in mid. There's the Sunstrike. Will connect and do good damage. Shadoi opting not to engage that time, though.
That was smart.
Yep, there's a TP that was canceled. Just the threat of the TP. Enough to force them back. So for the moment, Fnatic keeps everyone up. But we can already see the damage potential and the chain potential in terms of damage output and stuns, etc., etc., etc. Really looking quite solid for them. But yeah, I think you make an excellent point, is what are their options so far as pushing? And it's quickly reaching a point. By the way, No-Tail did finally get himself a Dark Troll Summoner, so maybe he can make something happen. But for the most part, like, they can't overcommit, because with a lineup like this, if you get too far behind too early, the game is going to get away from you very quickly, and Trixie's in a lot of trouble. Big rotations coming. There's going to be the cold snap slowing him down. Can Yol catch him? Nope. Sadoi right there with him. Still can't catch him. So Trixie able to hustle away. Meantime, here in mid, ult popped by Hani. He's got help coming down from the north out of the woodland areas. and doing what he can against this tower. Level 1 Exorcism strong, but not exactly what level 2 Exorcism is. Just heard a Sunstrike, and they are trying to kill Trixie at the same time. Looks like they're not even all that concerned with the tower. Chen using the Hand of God to get everyone back up and fighting. Now they'll see No Tail. Fly's actually behind them, but he's invis. Here comes BZZ and Goldblack moving their way towards mid. The glyph has already been used, about a quarter health now on the tower, and they're going to be forced to pull back. So unable to bring down the tower the first time they hook up. What they did manage to do, though, is free up a little space for Era, who's continuing to farm. Now number 2 on the overall CS board.
That was a good exchange for Fnatic, and Trixie's just kind of, he was wasting the time. Oh, hold that thought as Sunstrike. Whoa, no, it actually does hit him. The ulti comes out. Oh! One more auto attack. He actually uses the Anchor Smash to get the kill on the Yol. Well played from Trixie. And he's just buying time for his teammates too, because what he was doing there before, Centaur, he's looking for a kill. He has the ultimate. Can he get in range for a double edge? I think he can. It's going to be close. He does. Wow, that was a very long range double edge. But at the very least, he still managed to get a kill from Trixie. He did have to use the ultimate though, so I think that's actually a win there for RoX.KIS.
Yep, I agree. And double damage picked up by Hani. We can see they're moving into the jungle now. BZZ's there, very low mana though, and as mentioned, he does have that Midas, so he's going to be gaining levels very quickly. Goldblack has eyes on them, has a disruption at the ready, but not much else. Disruption, Soul Catcher, but that's about all he needs. And looks like honestly, RoX.KIS I think just needs to heal up and mana up a little bit, and they'll be all right. Right now, Fnatic doing a good job of keeping this lane isolated. Solo versus Era. Obviously, Solo is not going to be shut down at all. But at the same time, Era should have a chance to get all the farm and the levels that he really, really needs. He actually picked up a medallion too, so very, very typical medallion. Now we're going to have an engagement on the fly. There's Sunstrike, and the net's there, but the damage, is it? 2 nets, a defensive disruption. Goldblack doesn't have enough mana to do anything else. Sadoy has to make a run for it. There's a Crypt Swarm to kill him off from the high ground. So Fnatic able to go 1 for 1, and that's not at all favorable to RoX, because selling out, and oops, I'm not supposed to use that either, but I would actually use that as a sellout term. Basically investing a Centaur's life in exchange for a Witch Doctor, not really worthwhile.
Yeah, and he is showing his blink, so nice early blink there coming out from Sadoy. He's playing that. Yep, he is playing that. I was going to say that at least what Trixie did before there, he died, was at least free up some space and time for top lane and mid lane to push a little bit. They haven't got the towers yet, but these towers are suffering some damage. Like they're very, very close from dying. So as long as they're able to break these towers, that's going to be a very, very big key moment for Fnatic to start rotating. And like I said before, towers equals map control. And when they have that map control, it means things like easy. Yeah, top tower is finally dead. The TP there, but to no avail. So unfortunate there. They get top tower. They can maybe transition towards mid. And once they have that, it's going to be a lot more difficult for RoX.KIS to try to, you know, contest Roshan, which Fnatic will do very quickly, by the way. Look at their heroes. They have Lycan, they have Chen Creeps, and they have the ulti from DP.
Immediate smoke up from Fnatic as they fall back after the tier 1 drop. But yeah, like you said, any mistake that RoX.KIS makes is likely to cost him a Roshan, just because of how quickly the big guy will take a fall. Down at bottom, we can see RoX hooking up as 3 solo there with Yol and BZZ. Ready to try to take a tower, and that's going to be the word go for Fnatic as they move into the pit. Medallion, Lycan, his wolves, doing work, and this is going to be on RoX to either figure out or to assume, and they're seeing a reaction here, so this could very well be a free Roche for Lycan. It's already down to about 2/3 of its health. They're not bringing Sadoy out at all. He's just hanging out. He does have his blink up, as we've already seen. But yeah, looks like they're going to get this. This is a good pickup for them. They're going to be in fine shape moving ahead to the 15-minute mark.
This is really good because the movement, especially of Chen to the bottom with his creeps, is giving the indication to RoX.KIS that they want to defend. So they're not thinking at all that Roche is going down. They didn't even have to spend the
Ravage on the bottom. And there's a stomp from No Tail to help secure the Witch Doctor ulti, and another one. And Solo cleaned up through it all. Great play from No Tail as he used the creep, secured the Ravage, and the ultimate from Fly got the job done. Y'all might have a chance to get eyes on Hani. Hani's going to pop the ultimate. There's a Demonic Purge. Here comes Sadoy. Burrow strike to lead, and they will be able to bring him down. Aegis immediately popped off. Didn't even notice they had given that to him instead of Era, by the way. Era's there to try and help out if needed, but not going to be the case, as they're just going to be given some space to fall back, at least for the moment. Meanwhile, down at bottom, they are managing to grab a tower. So it's going to end up being 4 for 4. Sands and Aegis for Fnatic as we approach the 15-minute mark now. And we can see the gold favoring Fnatic as is experience. So all in all, the early laning phase has gone the way of Fnatic as they needed it to.
Yep, slight hiccup there from Hani as he kind of, they waste the Aegis there, but no big deal. They got the bottom tower. Oh, Sadoy's in some trouble. There's the trap.
Stop first. Now the test of faith and an auto attack to bring him down. But yeah, that was a race of the stomps there. Almost bought himself time, but the net was there from the Dark Troll Summoner. And Fnatic is doing a great job of just invading things. And we can see No-Tail got some eyes on Yol as he was stacking that hard camp. Tier 1 ends up dropping. And they're going to go steal this stack. And it looks like, yeah, No-Tail just going to happily grab a creep and ready to go to work with his team once again. Hani should have his ultimate back up soon. Yeah, about 40 seconds, so not enough time to maybe pressure immediately. But they're going to be able to continue to maintain sway over this side of the map and force RoX back under their own tower for the moment. Actually, looks like Era, yeah, he's going to go do Ancients.
Yeah, Fnatic is in a wonderful position right now. I talked about if they can just get out of the laning stage, they'll be fine. If they don't get pressured or snowballed too hard by RoX.KIS, they'll be fine. And they have the 3 towers first down. RoX.KIS has none. They have their core items. Tide's almost got a blink now. Mech is up from DP. They have all their team fighting items now. Where before they didn't have too great of a team fight, now they got their items, so they're ready to fight, and they're in a fantastic position.
RoX trying to push back out a little bit. They've got 3 in mid. Like you said, the items coming so quickly. Blink Dagger is so close for Trixie. And
yeah,
when he gets a blink, that's going to make such a difference, man. And I feel like Fnatic's in great shape. This is, you know, RoX.KIS got some work done early, but it wasn't nearly enough. Still stand by the idea, though, that it's still, the onus is still on Fnatic to execute right now. With a minus up on the Invoker, he can become a beast. And the Centaur Sand King combination scales very well, as does Darkseer in particular. And they're always going to have Demonic Purge to deal with the Lycan. And right now, they're really ultimate reliant. They need to fight around Ravage, have to fight around things like even Hand of God, and most importantly, Exorcism, etc. When BKBs come out to negate Ravage, and when you start to see these heroes tank up on the side of RoX, it could get a little sketchy. So now is their time to make things happen. They've got about 10 to 15 minutes through which, if they can take wins like they have been over the last 5, and they can do that a couple more times, they're going to be fine. If not, RoX does have a chance to play their way back into it very, very easily.
Trixie has enough for his blink, but he hasn't been able to go to the side shop and buy it yet, so kind of unfortunate. The problem, though, I feel like RoX.KIS is in a really big hole, though. They're not going to find any opening, I feel, this game until SK gets a blink. He now has enough. Here comes Exorcism, but until he gets that blink with a perfect epicenter, even if it is perfect, I don't know if they have the damage to sustain the Hand of God plus the mech.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's going to be so hard for them. Not to mention this Howl damage goes on all of Chen's creeps, and it absolutely burns through towers, not to mention the Exorcism coming out from Ani.
And there's the silence tossed out. Fnatic pulling back a little bit. And RoX is doing a fairly effective job of just zoning them off this tower as best they can. They didn't commit. They didn't force a fight. Not feeling confident fighting with the ultimates up. And able to just force Hani back. Now they're going to be able to catch Era. This would be a big kill if they can get it. Sadoy's silenced out. There's a force staff to get him to safety. Trixie's there. Good. Oh, what an epicenter burrow strike. Turned around by Trixie. Is that enough damage? We'll find out. The Burrow Epi on the mark with the vacuum wall. Here comes Yol looking for another target. They're going to be able to bring him down. And now engaging on to Fly. Oh, he actually got the bounce from the cask. And Yol unable to follow up as he would have liked. Solo going to surge himself. Doesn't have vacuum. Will in 2 seconds. Ion Shell is there. He'll vacuum him back. Actually, yeah. That plus Cold Snap makes it a big trade and a big turnaround. 4 for 1 when all was said and done. And that's what I was talking about just seconds ago. They are so ultimate reliant, fighting around things like Exorcism, etc., that if they're able to just mitigate that damage, and hell, if they're able to get epicenters like that out of Yol all game, they have a chance to be in control again. Right now, it's still Fnatic's pace to set, but you can see that put a big dent into their momentum.
It absolutely did, and first of all, yeah, the Sand King, fantastic combo, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
They cut through the damage, and they were able to kill 2 heroes through the mech and Hand of God. Hand of God wasn't even cast, though, so that was a big deal. And so fantastic job from Darkseer and the Sand King in particular. But I'm sorry, I don't know why Trixie didn't buy his blink. He was standing next to the side shop for so long, had 2,300 gold. Now he's respawning. He still has enough. Maybe he doesn't want blink. That has to be it.
Yep.
Like, he has to go for something else then, because if he buys the blink, there's absolutely no reason for him to have saved the money right there. So, but if he had the blink right there, I feel like as soon as the initiation came onto Era, he could have just blinked in, ultied, and that would have canceled the epicenter from Sand King. Now maybe they didn't know that Sand King had his blink, maybe they didn't scout out their items, but yeah, I don't know. He must be going for a different item. He goes for 4 staff. So I don't know how I feel about this, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. I just feel like blink would have been a huge item in that fight, and he could have had it. So I don't know. We'll see.
4 staff is an interesting choice over blink for Tide in particular. I mean, obviously it helps to have a way to extricate your teammates from fights if they happen to get into trouble, etc. But speaking of that 4 staff from No-Tail, almost enough to save Era, just not quite enough. But I love the item. Hang on. I was just going to talk about you, Hani. You're needing a lot of damage. Good vacuum back. And Hand of God's going to be used. Here comes Fly to try and help out. Hani making a run for the pit. Not going to be there. Double edge is enough to bring her down. And the rest of Fnatic has to stay on the high ground. BZZ getting a little chest out and chasing them all the way up the steps. Roche still at least a few minutes away from responding. Was going to talk about Hani and what he's picking up. He's got up his Hood of Defiance. And on the way to a pipe. Pipe is huge for them against this RoX.KIS team, but not if they could do that. Just get picks on Fly. There's going to be a Sunstrike that will connect on Trixie. Deafening blast off the mark. No-Tail and Trixie both having to fall back now. Sadoy can blink if he wants to go for it. Doesn't look like that's the case, as they did lose another tower in the meantime. Worth mentioning, Era has been split pushing this entire time. And Sand King's going to have to go back home to try and stop the wave. And Trixie got 4-staffed in. Don't know if that was his. Yeah, I guess it was.
It was his.
But to no real purpose. I saw No-Tail near him. There's going to be a vacuum back. That was, yeah, an ult that accomplished next to nothing. Mech's going to be used to get him back in the fighting shape. Here comes Sadoy. Round the side, another 4-staff. Don't know. That was definitely No-Tail's that time. There's a cask. And now they're going to chase this down. Ulti used by the Witch Doctor. BZZ being pursued by Lycan. Lycan has to turn around. He's going to engage on the solo. No-Tail's coming out as well. Hani back up. Penitent slowing Solo down, and the negative armor having a big reaction as they're able to melt through him, even as he tried to run. Bizarre sequence of events there, but it turns out, you know, Fnatic gets a couple more after a complete fail ravage out of their Tidehunter. They just didn't really have much purpose. They just kited it out and got help.
Yep, in the meantime, here comes a Sunstrike. Blink combination on to No-Tail. He TP'd down there, too, to try to see the tower, but he wasn't there in time. It still went down, and then he died, so some good extra kills here from RoX.KIS. The problem still stands that Fnatic's push is very scary. Like, it really is. You see there that if they give 2 seconds to Era in a side lane when he has that Necro book up, it's a dead tower. But yeah, I don't mean to harp on it too much, but if his idea is to initiate with the 4-staff into Ravage like he did that time, I just still don't know why Blink wouldn't be better. Right. I feel like it would be more effective. It has more range. It's much faster. You can't really see it coming most times, especially if it's nighttime. 4-staff is good in fights to save lots of teammates and to maneuver around. By the way, I gotta say big props to Solo right there for giving up his life for Invoker, because Invoker ran back to get the surge from Darkseer. Darkseer paid with his life, but definitely a worthy cause. So nice play by Solo.
Yep, especially given Solo's early start. And like right now, he's got Blink Mech. That's enough to suffice him to be useful in these fights for a long time, along with Vacuum Wall. So Solo, on the other hand, you know, the later this game goes, you're going to want more and more out of him. And he's already got up his book 3, as well as a few hundred gold aside. Era, in the meantime, though, is definitely playing some rat-style wolf, as he's got 2,000 gold and is once again going to work out in this off lane. There's the pipe done for Hani. That's a gigantic item for them.
It is.
It's
very good. Yeah,
whenever you look at the way RoX.KIS is trying to fight these out and where all of their damage is coming from, that's as big a deal as everyone having a BKB on RoX, basically, to negate Tidehunter's ultimate. You've more or less taken Epicenter out as a huge threat now.
Yeah, he does have level 11 now, which is good for him. Sunstrike coming, it hits it hits No-Tail, does literally 2/3 of his life, so a lot of damage. But the pipe is so good, especially some people forget too that it has an amazing range now. Like I think it's 900 AOE from where you cast it, so it will hit everybody basically. I know that sometimes it was kind of awkward casting it because it had a smaller AoE and you couldn't really get its full effectiveness, but now you definitely can. And like you mentioned, that's pretty much going to mitigate a lot of SK's epicenter damage. So great pickup for him.
Roche is back up, spotted out, and it looks like, yep, we're going to see Hani bottling himself a haste rune. Nice pickup for a Death Prophet player for sure. And that's interesting. First time in Pro Dota history that we've seen this build for a Death Prophet. This particular build, rushing out a mech and a pipe. I actually like it a whole hell of a lot. I like heroes that rush items like mech and pipe that are, you know, mids or cores or semi-cores, just because they take so much pressure off of your supports that allow them to focus up other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too. And you make a good point in general with pushing lineups, especially with Lycan, that if they win a team fight, it's so easy to just press the issue and get more out of it after the team fight with Lycan pushing. So if they're going team fight items, I think that's the right idea from Hani. Just focus on winning the team fight because the push will come automatically.
Yep, completely agree with you. And Glyph deployed, now down. Let's see how committed to this RoX.KIS happen to be. Have to watch for the silence, and certainly don't want to eat free Crypt Swarm damage. We may see Fnatic group up, hit the pipe, and go. This is where a blink would have been nice for Trixie. Probably could have caught 3 blinking in from the sidewoods there. 4 staffing in wouldn't have worked. But RoX playing very cautiously, as is Fnatic, just spread out over to the east side of this tier 2 tower. Alacrity onto the Forged Spirits, so just taking their time. Another Crypt Swarm doing what damage they can. Sidoi, the Ion Shell up, now moving along. And Trixie's right there. He's got a 4 staff ready and gonna go for it. There's the Ravage. He got 3. No, he actually only got 2. They're gonna be able to bring down Sidoi. No, defensive disruption, and another big epicenter comes in and helps clear out some of those creeps. Sidoi still up and running. Pipes up on both sides. Trixie can't do much. Era's being kited around. Sidoi hanging around the outside of this, and they're just trying to let all of this peter out, and that's the right decision. This is what we were talking about, fighting around the ultimates. RoX.KIS kept everyone up and alive. That is a gigantic win for them, because now as soon as this is over, if they're in decent shape at all, they can re-engage and not have to worry about the Ravage and not have to worry about the Exorcism. Fnatic, in the meantime, falling back elsewhere. Sand King has completed a Veil, and we'll see if that's what they're going to do. If they're going to reset, heal up, and try to continue pushing elsewhere. For the moment, there's a Sunstrike that will connect on Fly down in the Roche pit. But, yeah, looks like they're ready to go. They know that both of those big ultimates are down, and they will go to town if they can.
Yep, it's kind of funny because the pipe on both sides kind of negate each other's damage. The pipe just did a lot of damage absorption on the SK's ulti. It wasn't as effective as it could have been without the pipe. Same thing goes with the rest of the magic damage coming out from Fnatic, which isn't that much, honestly, but it's still there. So, yeah, that was very interesting. Lots of spells casted, nobody dead.
Yep. And both teams just recognized it, and that's the power of the pipes, too. Pipes and mechs on both sides, mitigating the damage and keeping everyone alive. Trixie 60 seconds out from having a Ravage. And RoX.KIS is in the pit. They're not super committed, though. They still got Goldblack sitting out, and, of course, Yol. Yol will have Epicenter about 30 seconds faster than Tide will have his Ravage. Important thing to note if both of these teams stay in close proximity to each other and decide when to engage. Stampede is up. They're going to use it in Hani, using the mech on himself. Big chain, and another dead Death Prophet. And let's see how they want to go about this now. Death Prophet, a nice pick, but her ultimate wasn't up to begin with. Is that, no, check that. It actually was coming back up. I forget how quick the cooldown on that is, and they're going to buy back and try to go in. 30 seconds until Ravage is up. Sidoi used the Stampede. It's going to be 60 for him. Epicenter is up now. They're grouped up trying to come down these stairs. No wall used, and they're just going to go ahead and use the ulti. This could be a big fight. Trixie, 15 seconds from Ravage. Let's see how they want to commit. Trixie still hanging back. There's going to be a vacuum into the wall. That might be enough to try and force them out. The rest of RoX.KIS just using positional advantage. Hanging out over to the side. Roche, fairly low, but not hugely low. They're going to go in and engage on the Era. And here we go. There's the Epicenter going off to the back of it. The Epi goes up, but they're able to mech through it. He has no mana left, can't contribute a whole lot. Era's still in the pit, going to town. Rest of RoX can just watch on, and down he goes. Buyback from Centaur. Roshan has been killed. I didn't see who actually grabbed it. And Lycan did finally manage to snag it out. So a bit of a weird fight. Everyone kiting it out. And behind that, Trixie using his Ravage to secure a double kill for Hani. 14-10 in a very long and drawn-out Roshan engagement, and that favors Fnatic that time. And this is what we were talking about before. 5 are still standing. Let's see how hard they can push and how fast they can push.
Yeah, it was so unfortunate for SK because the Epi did so much damage. He put the Veil on him too, and he waited until after the pipe was used by Fnatic, and he waited till after it was down. And he went in, but he didn't have enough mana for his Burrow Strike afterwards. Yep. He just had enough mana for the Sandstorm. And if he had that extra mana for the Burrow Strike, he gets 2 kills there. And he only got 1. I believe Trixie died, but he bought back. I don't know for sure. but he would have got 2, maybe 3 kills there, and that would have totally changed the fight if he just had a little bit more mana.
Solo comes back in. There's a vacuum into a burrow strike. They're going to try to follow it up with Sidoi, but a big silence comes out, and now they're on the run again. Witch Doctor popping the ultimate, and Sidoi cleaned up from behind as Era secures that with a big right click. Trixie still in pursuit. Doesn't have much of anything to contribute. Gush will be off cooldown in just a minute. In the meantime, the tower dies from behind. There's a cask onto Solo. Goldblack defensively disrupts him. And Fnatic, oh, there's a big stun coming out from the Centaur, but more good burrow strike action out of Y'all, who has played well all day. Fly will be cleaned up by the Necro Creeps. Behind that, another vacuum onto Era. Couple of Centaurs are there to help if they need it. Blink from Solo. He's going to burn him down with Ion Shell. Burrow strike off the mark, doesn't matter. Aegis is gone. Wishes he had the burrow strike now for sure. Doesn't matter. BZZ is ready and waiting. There's a silence to try and buy Era some time. They're trying to block him in. Damage still done off of the cold snap. He doubles back around. The Centaur's helping to clog things up. Stomp, gonna catch a couple. Trixie now could be in some trouble though. May have sacrificed himself for Era. Sunstrike shot, but off the mark. And Trixie somehow, oh, I was gonna say waddling to safety, cracking through that actually. And force staffed down to the low ground. No burrow strike to follow off of the silence from Hani. And they managed to make it away, losing only the Witch Doctor. So RoX, 16-11, but they lost the Aegis, managed to kill him off, but still lost another tower. They're down to just one tier 2 still standing, and that's going to be in bottom lane.
Yeah, what a silence there by Hani. It happened right as Centaur blinked in. I don't know if it was just extremely fast reactions or if he was planning on silencing the area just in general before he happened to blink in there, but nonetheless, it paid dividends because that rendered Centaur completely useless after he blinked in. And so very, very well played by Hani. And like, as you mentioned, when they have the Tide ulti up and they're able to kite out right after, if they're able to live past this epicenter wall combo from Darkseer and Sand King, I think they win the fight, generally speaking. Obviously, there's so many other factors. And also, one thing not to scoff at is these casks from Fly are such a nuisance in fights. You really forget about it as time goes on in the team fights, but it's very effective, and it's got a relatively low cooldown, too. So.
It creates a ton of confusion because when it's thrown out, it's not like you can just, in the middle of a team fight, monitor where it's going and what it's doing. Like, you just kind of deal with it when it hits you if you're playing. And in the meantime, Lycan's picked up BKB. That's a huge pickup for him. Scythe of Ice, the pickup for the Invoker. Darkseer looks like he's going for a Shiva's. Has the plate mail and 2,400 gold aside. Yol, 800 gold. Blink and Veil still the same as always. Sidoi might be on his way to a Heart, as he has picked up a Vit booster. Heart tends to be the most typical item at this stage of the game. And, of course, Goldblack with just the Force Staff. 1,700 gold, though, so we'll see where he wants to go next. But lack of magic immunity allows Tide to continue to be a huge, huge influence on these fights when his ultimate is up. Fly, in the meantime, has an Ogre Club and 2,200 gold towards a BKB. If he wants to complete that, makes him a much bigger player in the way these team fights function. The Tide Hunter, Force Staff, 1,700, may get a blink anyway. Lycan we just covered. Lycan did pick up Boots of Travel, by the way. That's something worth noting. And, of course, the Death Prophet, played by Hani, is getting tanky now as well. Has picked up a Vit booster. They're going to try to trade tier 2s here.
I swear to God, every single time I click on Hani, he has a haste rune. Like, in the last fight, he had a haste rune. He had a haste rune before that, one engagement where it saved someone else's life, and now he has another haste rune.
All right, you got to make your decision, RoX.KIS. What are you doing? You coming home to fight, or you staying there to push? Looks like they're coming home to fight. Wall went down from Solo, trying to keep them out. There's a silence onto the high ground, only got Solo. And, yep, everyone's coming home now. They managed to bring down the tower in the meantime. And Fnatic's going to be happy with that. Looks like they're more than willing to back off. And they may, yep, I don't think they're going to quite lose their tier 3. Maybe close, though. Fly's going to make it home in time, though. So, got some damage traded away, but another favorable trade for Fnatic that time. And looked like Sidoi was looking for something and able to find him.
Yeah, Chen just barely got out. Nice heads up, but not able to get there in time. So, yeah, Fnatic will be happy with that. They got a tower. They didn't lose their tower top. And looking at the experience in gold, it's actually very, very even game. So there's a couple things to note here. If SK gets a level 16 here relatively soon, going to pay huge dividends. Same thing goes for Darkseer. Gets level 16, going to be really, really huge. Also, you mentioned the BKB coming out. It is out on Fly. If he gets a Scepter, man, oh my God. The damage from Witch Doctor with the Scepter BKB is amazing.
Oh, it's absurd.
So freaking good. I hope he gets enough farm because it's just a sight to see.
At what point do you think, if any, do you think RoX.KIS prioritizes BKBs?
I think definitely Invoker needs to get one because he needs to be able to stand outside and not get casked. all the time, not get stunned by, Centaur creeps. They happen. The silence will kind of make you useless in team fights. This is 6 seconds silence, so it's a long time. So I think Invoker needs to get one, but I don't think anyone else should really get one. Maybe the Darkseer could get one, so he doesn't get interrupted, but he's not going in for that. He's going for a Shiva, so.
Oh, yeah. Go Black. Defensive disruption, trying to buy time for his team to come help. And, yep, Blink picked up, and he blinks south. Go Black, you crafty son of a gun. And Yol, in the meantime, pushing in bottom lane, so that'll be enough to force them back. But, yeah, bought himself just enough time to get away. And well played there. But, yeah, the Centaur, I mean, he's tanky. But it just seems like so much. I mean, the Exorcism is physical damage, and so is Witch Doctor's ultimate. But the big part of it is the power of Ravage and the power of chin creep stuns, basically. And I feel like just on those 3 heroes that the 2 you named plus a Centaur, could end up making a huge difference in terms of just shrugging off a Ravage and shrugging off any other disables that set up things like the nice Witch Doctor ulti and so on. But I don't know. We'll see for now. 16-11, RoX maintains a bit of a lead. And when I say a bit of one, I mean a very small one for 35 minutes, less than 2,500. The experience slightly in their favor as well, but a very tight game, as you had mentioned.
Yeah, it's very, very close. Anything can happen. You have big spells from both teams, Tide, Ravage, and Lycan just being Lycan, and you have amazing spells from Radiant too. I really feel like SK getting a level 16 would be huge for him. They're not going to go on Trixie as they don't want to waste all their spells on Trixie only to have him almost die, cast a Ravage, people TP in and kill them all. So.
Yep.
Top tower does go down, and they're not able to deny it. So nice little small win there for RoX.KIS.
Yep. Forge Spirits OP. Fnatic going to try and get some immediate retribution as they smoke into the jungle. They're going to have a chance to catch Sidoi. This would be a great pick for them if they can get it. Silence.
Yep.
And, yep, there the silence immediately follows. Cass got a little bit of a stun. He uses the pipe, though. Trying to run for it. Doesn't have any help anywhere near there. Using the Stampede right into a haste rune. So that's a nice piece of fortune. And for once, Hani denied a haste rune. Here comes BZZ. And not sure what the plan was there. He was running into a proven group of 3. Gold Black was coming to try to help. They're just using all of those mobility items to get themselves away. Tornado tossed out, but only a preventative measure. Down at bottom, we can see they did manage to pick off the Tidehunter in the meantime. Hani's going to show up and try to punish them for it. Era spots out Solo, and yep, manages to stop him from TPing out with the Basher. So a nice kill there, going 1 for 1, Darkseer for Tidehunter, and looks like both teams are beginning to fall back now.
I didn't even see Tidehunter die. That was my bad. I thought they were just pushing the tower, but didn't get the tower. In the meantime, space created here for BZZ, as he has a Blink Dagger, which I think is actually quite good for him. It makes him a lot more mobile in team fights. BKB, it's like, you don't want to go for a BKB. Like, sometimes you have to because you don't want to get stunned out in team fights, but you don't want to because there's still physical damage that's going to be so much damage going through it anyway between Death Prophet ulti and Lycan. So I think Blink is a fine way to remedy the problem that he's having in these team fights.
Sidoi did get a BKB in the meantime, though.
Okay.
So, yep, some mix of both of us.
That's
exactly. It just feels so much like, that's the weakness of a Tidehunter is once you get magic immunity and so on, Ravage just stops mattering for the most part. And we can see a Wolf's actually right on BZZ, just keeping tabs on him at the moment. But, yeah, Fnatic right now is largely on the back foot, though. They're kind of hemmed in, and RoX is keeping the pressure up to keep them on their side of the map, which makes a lot of sense, especially when you recognize a Lycan. Up, hang on, Gold Black going to be silenced and hit with the Gush. 4 staffs are there, and there's going to be a Stampede Tornado. Able to buy enough time for the retreat, and they don't have enough help around to actually re-engage, though that might have been a good time to do so if they did. Sidoi was making his way up, changed his mind, and we continue to see the Sand King just pound away on these creeps and get farm, and he's not that far from an Assault Cuirass at all. He's only about 1,300 gold away now.
Yeah, and they're still trying to mess with them, and these two are doing a good job about creating space, but I don't know. I feel like if Trixie ravaged there, they're both dead. Maybe he didn't want to pull the trigger because if they blinked away, it would kind of look silly, but that was definitely a very easy kill opportunity if the Ravage hits. In the meantime, though, bottom push. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. They're doing a good job of kiting them out up here in the top lane, and they're creating space bottom. As long as they don't die bottom or die top, then they're getting more resources out of this. As you see the net worth slowly climbing, definitely in favor of it.
This is so sneaky from Era. He spotted with the Wolf that Roche is up, and he TP'd to the Wolf, and he's using his creeps to try and bang it down. He's basically behind enemy lines right now, trying to make this happen. He's got help in mid from Fly and Trixie, and I don't think they have any clue. Yep, this is going to be a free Roshan. So sneaky, Era, and so effective. That's going to be cheese on the ground, and they're just going to leave it hanging. Just leave it hanging for the moment. Yol in mid going to be spotted by Era coming out of the pit. In the meantime, they did manage to get a little pushing done up at top, but not enough. There's going to be a Hex on the Trixie. Goldblack's right there. Doesn't want to commit. Knows it's a little blind behind things.
They got range Rex.
And Era in mid going to be stomped by Sadoy. Range Rex dropped at top, and here comes Yol to try and make something happen. Era's going to be able to make it away in the meantime. Sunstrike on the mark, but still not enough damage. In the meantime, they managed to get the bottom tower as well. And like you said, they managed to get the range racks at top, so even though they give up the Aegis, RoX slowly strangling Fnatic to the best of their ability.
Yep, I think RoX just needs to kind of play this a little bit safe now that the Aegis is up on Fnatic and Cheese. They're still just kiting them out here and just creating so much space for one another. As again, this Blink Dagger is really helping him. Oh, there it comes. Oh, see, he gets the Blink out. It's fine for him. Cast the Hex, gonna maybe go to Wex so he can have faster movement speed. And he's just creating so much time and space and wasting the time of Fnatic. But again, like I said, they need to be careful because they have the Aegis up on Era.
Push continuing down at bottom lane. It's going to be Sadoy. This time shoving things out. Tornado shot missed. A little bit wide, but at this point, it's not even about hitting. It's just, it's like covering fire. It's kind of what this feels a lot like. Let's just make them keep their heads down, keep them honest, and make space for heroes in need farm. There's a gush onto Goldblack, and Stampede used just to guarantee that they're safe. They
can't catch them. They've tried like 5 times to kill them, and they can't do it. It's just really fun to watch, and it's well played by RoX.KIS.
Trixie hit with the cold snap. Here comes Era using the ulti. Trixie's very low health. That's going to be enough to force them back. Hex onto Era, but he's still pursuing them. And down go the Necro Creeps. That was a pissed off Piggy trying to catch up. Here's the epicenter, and they're going to catch No Tail with it. Uses the Veil, but the mech is there, and now he might be in trouble. Committing a bit too much. Trixie right there with him. Here comes the rest of RoX, so Shiva's going to catch everyone. Ravage disjoints things a little bit, but now the follow-up as the ulti is used by Hani, trying to chase them away. Got the silence off. Yol somehow still alive, but finished off finally with a right-click. Sadoy used his BKB to try and do something at bottom, but Fly there with the ultimate and a BKB of his own meant they could not continue to engage. And there was a nice shot from BZZ, bringing down the chin with a Sunstrike. So he's off the map for 60 seconds. Era, once again, ulti off cooldown, thought about rushing back up the hill. But RoX, looks like they're all right with the way things went. They went for it with the Sand King, and it didn't go quite as planned, but they still ended up trading 1 for 1.
Yeah, and they used the Tide ulti, so definitely a win there. I don't know about the BKB from Sadoy. That was a BKB for an ulti from Witch Doctor, but obviously it's just physical damage. It's just damage, and he could just pop the pipe if he wanted to. That was a 10-second BKB too, so not the end of the world, but definitely a 1 second that could have been used at another time. But yeah, again, like I said, not the end of the world. But they're just kind of outplaying Fnatic. Like, they've been on their side of the map for like the last 8 minutes.
Yep.
And if you look at the gold graph and experience, they're definitely gaining a lot of momentum and things going their way. So yeah, well played.
Just keeping the pressure up. BZZ in particular, just never letting him sleep for a minute. And taking a look at the overall net worth, we can see Lycan sitting at 20K, 24 for the Invoker. So he is still finding his farm, just not quite to the tune he would like. Overall KD, we can see it's been a great game for BZZ. He's 8-2, 4-1 for Era. Very nice showing for a Lycan as well. Sadoy is given as well as he's got 4-5. And
oh, I'm sorry, this is just so funny to watch because they've been not only doing this for like 8 minutes with wolves scouting them, invisible wolves scouting them, wards on their side, inside their jungle, seeing everything they do. And conversely, RoX.KIS has no vision.
Yep.
They have nothing. They're all just doing this instinctively by pushing up lanes, and they're using Centaur ult to get away. Here comes a Goldblack. 4-staff, maybe a Centaur ulti. He disrupts himself, blinks away. Look at this. They can't kill him.
Tornado there to help him out behind. Let's see. There's a Stampede to try and secure his exit up to the north. They're pinging right now. Better TP out, man. Better TP out. And he will.
This is comical.
It is. This is the definition of just kiting. Cat and mouse solo. Tried to get cute down in bottom lane, but ran into a wall he didn't want to even try to penetrate. But at the very least, they finally got him out of their jungle for a minute or two.
Yeah. This is just so fun to watch. Just BZZ and Goldblack are just putting on a show. And
Solo going to be caught out. This could be a death, and one they've been desperately needing finally. they managed to punish them a little bit and do it for free. Aegis is going to be reclaimed in 60 seconds. So it's been almost, yeah, it's been a long time because they were on Fnatic's side of the map long before they brought the Roshan down. So you're talking roughly 10 minutes of this. And do like Nahaz's comment, 5 blink daggers, no wards. What is this game? Exactly. I got nothing, man. I got nothing.
Here's the remedy, though. They have 2 sheeps instantly. This is where it changes. This is where it all changes. Sheep, bam. There's 1 sheep. They could probably get this kill onto him if they don't lose vision.
There's the Hex. The follow it up. He's still silenced, though, and doing a lot of damage to Hani. Can they bring him down in time? There's the Yules to keep him up, and finally, they manage to track BZZ down and cost them Exorcism. In the meantime, in mid, big push. Sadoy going to be engaged by Era, Force Staff, and the Stampede to help keep him safe. And you begin to wonder if maybe RoX.KIS wasn't being a little too cute about all this. As now that they're losing that absolute map control, the stranglehold beginning to break a little bit. Even though the Aegis is reclaimed as of right now, still a couple of minutes up until Roshan. But you have to wonder, did they get enough out of that huge advantage they had?
Yep, here comes a possible engagement on an Era. I don't know if they have business. Godlike gets sheeped up. There's a surge. He'll be fine for now. Trixie does have an ultimate ready to deploy, but he's not going to. These sheeps are going to pay huge dividends, though, for Fnatic. Like, they can't do that anymore from RoX.KIS. It was funny and very effective for a while, but with the fast movement speed from Hani, being able to just have a long-range Hex to start things off, they can't do what they did before.
Yep. And Hani, speaking of, rotating through the side jungle, looking to get a flank on. Solo got out with the blink in time. We can see Yol is just too busy being cool up in the other side of the jungle right now. He's heading elsewhere to try and keep the lanes pushed a bit. And wisely so, as that is the lane that is missing Rax. So anything he can do to help that will maybe force them to reconsider this and have to pull back to deal with the creeps. But Fnatic for now doesn't look like they're too worried about it. They're ready to potentially commit to a fight. Still no Blink Dagger on Tide. Is stuck with nothing but the Force Staff so far. Went straight up to Hex afterwards. The rest of RoX trying to hold the line. And just heard a vacuum. They catch anyone? Nope. Trying to vacuum them through the trees. Tornado off the mark. Era's going to TP straight home.
They Hex him.
Yep, they actually did get him. There's the stomp to follow it up. And Hand of God's there. Ravage to try to disjoint things. Era pops the ulti. Has to run. BKB is up. Fnatic trying to turn this around. There's the epicenter. Trixie eating a lot of that damage, but only Trixie's eating that damage. No one dead yet. Check that. Trixie's down. Fly going to be hit with the Demonic Purge. Sadoy is there. Has a blink ready if he wants to go for it, and he will. Caught a bunch of creeps and Fly. There's the Exorcism, though, and they're going to have a Burrow Strike onto him. Just can't stand and tank through the damage. It's just one person down throughout all of that action. And looks like it should be fine for Fnatic to withdraw. Era already back at the base. And no, they actually managed to catch Hani. Here comes the Rock, following that up. Sadoy misses with the stomp because of the Yules. And now he's going to be Hex. Could turn this around. They have a stomp as well and a silence. And Sadoy, Sunstrike there. And down he goes. There's another Burrow Strike, but Hani's so tanky as his Fly. They have no tail with them there too. No mana now for Yol. If they can catch him with a silence, which they should be able to, using the Crypt Swarm instead, and now the silence after the Penitence. Test of Faith does a little bit of damage. Solo's there to try and help out. There's a vacuum onto all three, and that might be enough. Solo actually going to get hit twice, and now trying to track him down as Hani's leading the pursuit. And he's going to be able to blink, but he blinked into the trees and he's stuck. Let's see if they realize it. They think he made it out to the other side, but he didn't. So they're going to run right past him. Era and Hani, no look. They're going to find a haste rune. Solo doesn't have a TB, but he does actually blink down into the river and reveal himself. In the meantime, here in mid, there's a Gush after a Hex. Onto one. Goldblack's right there with him. Trixie eating a lot of damage. Another blink to get him away. Trixie could be in trouble. Hit with the Purge, eating a lot of damage. Coming out from the illusions. Era's now engaging out. And Hani right there on the tail of one. Darkseer in the meantime manages to clean up the Tidehunter behind the fight. BZZ pursued by a very fast-moving Death Prophet. Here's Era using the ulti. Ghost Walk should buy him some time as well as the blink, so he'll be able to make it away. Action everywhere on the map, just so spread out. They're not done yet. As BZZ trying to TP away. Got hit with the Yules. Down he comes, and Abyssal just to guarantee. Now back here in mid, there's another Burrow Strike onto No Tail. Sunstrike going to be off the mark. Force Staff got him out of harm's way, and Solo goes in, gets the kill. They might be able to catch up with him now as Hani's there. Excuse me, Era's there. Ready to pursue him out along with Fly. And nope, damage not there. Was hoping for a first hit. Bash didn't get it. Rest of RoX.KIS once again converging elsewhere on the map. But just absolute mayhem across every lane. Arrow wants to re-engage. Hex on the Sadoy. Gold Black uses the disruption to buy in some time. And Sadoy uses the Stampede that'll get him away. Gold Black not so lucky. Got bashed, and one more auto attack will do it. There it is. One more kill in mid. In the meantime, Hani going toe-to-toe with Sadoy. Gonna go ahead and use Exorcism. Pursuing him out. Pipe used on both sides. Sunstrike on the mark, and they come back in. Vacuum to bring her down. 100 seconds down. Another Hex on the fly up on the high ground. There's the Alacrity plus the Cold Snap. Manages to get a kill there. Lots of burst damage. Trixie has Ravage. Might need it. Burrow struck. All of RoX is going to converge. He may think about using it as he has help. Nope, going to turn and gush instead. Rest of RoX pulling back once again. And who knows where the action is going to take place again. Feel like I haven't had a chance to take a breath, but for good reason. These teams playing absolute balls-out Dota. Roche now the target. Alacrity on to BZZ, and I'm going to breathe for a second before this next engagement breaks out. Check that. Not going to have time. Trixie moving in. Has a Force Staff and a Ravage at the ready. There's a Demonic Purge on the someone. Didn't hear who it hit. And here we go. Epicenter going up onto the high ground. It's going to catch No-Tail and Hani. There's going to be a Ravage out down in the pit. Roche is still up. They're able to bring down one. RoX only has two standing. Sadoy next to bite it, and the ultimate from Fly doing all the work they could ask. Era's going to end up taking the Roshan off this. In the meantime, RoX cleans up one more on the high ground. Solo comes back out, and Lycan picks up the Aegis. He's vacuumed onto the high ground, though. He's trapped. Let's see if they can do anything about it. He's got Boots of Travel. Coming back out to his creep, ready to pursue down Solo. In the meantime, Yol manages to get another kill. Trixie could be next. Burrow Strike up in 3 seconds. See if he'll have the damage. Uses the Urn Charge first. He actually crackened out of it. That's going to allow him to keep moving while the rest of Fnatic tries to run protection. Gold Black cannot rush uphill against Era. They're not done yet, though. There's a gush now onto Yol. They're going to turn it around. Scythe Vice used to make room for Era. Coming in and chasing him down into the woods. Burrow Strike out by Yol. Solo there with the vacuum. May not have been the best decision. Nope, never mind. Able to get out and able to buy some time for Yol. Let's see if it's enough. Gush slows him down. Era on the pursuit. Now there's a Shivas as well. Trixie could end up dead here. Do they have detection? They don't. Trixie almost dying to the Sandstorm. Unable to do anything to bring him down. And Solo's there with the drive-by mechanism. And finally, they manage to give us a break for a second as RoX comes out. I can't even tell you who won that.
They have Aegis still on Era, but they got the melee Rex top. They also got a tier 4 tower in their base. Also, that was a oh my god, what a play, like just a series of events as we finally catch our breath. But towards the end of that Roche dying there, Darkseer blinked in to try to get the Aegis. He had like no HP. He didn't get the Aegis, but he got the cheese, used it immediately, able to save his life, vacuums Era up to the high ground. Era TPs to his creep to try to find him, wasn't able to do so. So many things happening in that fight, man. And I think I just found my new team that's my favorite team to watch.
RoX and Fnatic, both an absolute blast to watch, and what a game this has been. Had a crazy game one to lead off our first series against Alliance, RoX versus Alliance, and a crazy game one to lead this series off too. And what a day for Dota indeed. And Fnatic, I mean, you can checking the graphs, it's easy to see that RoX maintains the lead. But we're getting into that stage now where it just becomes so situational. It comes so much down to item choices and individual plays, decision-making, etc. Coming up on 53 minutes in. Looks like Fnatic has a chance to catch, and yes, they will get a Scythe of Ice off on the BZZ. This should be a very easy kill. No, there's an epicenter. They managed to get No-Tail. That's going to prompt the Ravage, but he was still up and fighting, and Yol finally will be cleaned up. Behind that, no one else was coming, so that's a godlike streak for Era, who still has that Aegis up. They did lose No-Tail in the process. Solo in the meantime, trying to push down bottom lane. He has Sadoy to help him. BKB hard up on him, very tanky. Hani in the meantime trying to hold. Era does make it back. Those Boots of Travel ending up being a huge and very important investment for him, as they've allowed him to not only sneak Roshans, but to just be where he needed to be and punish any kind of split push action out of RoX. And looks like RoX finally going to have to pull back a little bit and reset. 3 minutes until the Aegis is reclaimed now. And finally, at 54 minutes into this game, Tidehunter buys a Blink Dagger. Yeah, I don't know. I think he could have had it a little bit earlier, but still, it'll be fine. I feel like if Sadoy used the ultimate right when BCC got hexed up there, he actually would have saved him. Because he had it. I looked, as soon as he got hexed, I was like, oh, ultimate, Centaur ultimate. And he had it up. And I think that actually might have saved BCC up top there. It was, or at least would have bought him time to get away, to have spells ready to combo up onto an amazing epicenter there from the Sand King. So kind of unfortunate there. Fnatic finally pushing now onto enemy territory, and looks like they're feeling a little emboldened. They've left No Tail behind to try and deal with the creeps as best they can, and really that's about all you can expect out of him. He doesn't even carry the mech right now. Here's the Exorcism. Level 23 on this Death Prophet, 2200 HP. She's feeling rather survivable herself. Era, in the meantime, is feeling gigantic, as he should, sitting on 5 slots plus an Aegis. Pipe used, disruptions there, and they're going to follow it up. There's a tornado, it's going to catch a couple. Here comes Solo off the back, gets the wall down, but not in time. He hit the Shivas as well. Era's actually going to end up kited out a little bit here. The ultimate from Fly does nothing. Spent on the low ground. That's going to make room, if nothing else, for Era to go back up, and he sight the vice, and here comes the Epi. Can they bring him down? They got to kill him twice. The Aegis finally popped off. They're going to get Hani as well. Exorcism just expired. Here he comes, so they have the lockdown. There's a disruption to lead. Gold Black right there, and there's a Burrow Strike. They lost the tier 3, but the racks still stand. And the rest of RoX now charging out. The rest of Fnatic, on the other hand.
Tier 4.
Yes, the tier 4s. I was actually going to say the rest of Fnatic had to come back and try to deal with the fact that No Tail was overwhelmed with creeps. No, I didn't even see him die. Did he die to nothing but Megas there?
He must have. I know he was back there,
yeah.
So yeah. I didn't see it, but one can safely assume. Here comes Era. He TP's bottom. There's double TPs with Boots of Travel to kill Era. He's gonna die a second time, and he has the buyback.
Such a huge kill. 2 minutes, 122 seconds now. He's down, and taking a look at the buyback status. Yes, this is a big coup for RoX. Let's see if they can capitalize. They certainly have the mobility. Can they rush down a lane? Top rack still the only set of racks down for Fnatic. They still have tied up, but it's 30 seconds until Hani's back up as well. Trixie does have a Ravage, and it looks like they are going to go ahead and rush mid. Moving now as 5. Epicenter back up in 22 seconds. Scythe of Ice up on him as well. If they can get a pick onto Trixie, this is certainly going to be another set of racks. Without Era, I don't know how they fight. And here we go. Tier 3 down, and they have to fall back. They have to wait on reinforcements because the Ancient is being banged away by the creeps. Here we go. They're going to manage to catch out Fly. Force that back into the well. There's going to be a hand of God to help out, but immediately No Tail punished for it. Here comes Hani with the ultimate out. They're trying to hang around. Trixie hit with the Scythe of Ice. Ultimate on the Solo, not enough damage. Hani eating a double edge after the stomp. There's BCZ missing on the Deafening Blast. Hex onto him now as Stampede is used. Hani, the #1 target. Can they get him? No. Yules puts him up in the air. There's a Burrow Strike. Ravage finally helps to try and clear the field, but not enough. RoX.KIS able to get out of the way in the meantime. Yol could be in trouble here, trying to fall back. Fly comes back out. Defensive disruption. Beautiful vacuum. And that's going to be it. Fnatic has to call it as RoX.KIS makes it happen for the second time today on the back of a big defense while the creeps backdoor for them. And I don't care what you say. Fnatic, as good as they looked, RoX.KIS just flat out outplayed them down the stretch. What a phenomenal performance by them for the second time in a row to lead off a series today.
Such a fun game to watch and cast, man. Oh boy, you said it though. You gotta catch your breath sometime. We finally managed to do so after 57 minutes of constant back and forth action and just action all over the board. Really, really fun game of Dota to watch and fun series of this entire day. Fantastic plays out of everyone, but specifically BCC and Gold Black sitting up top for God knows how long. With, like I said, they had wolves on them, invisible wolves. They had multiple wards from Fnatic in their own jungle, and they had no vision of their own, but just with a double blink dagger and just the extra movement speed, the ultimate from Centaur globally to move them around when they needed to, through hexes, through whatever. Oh, it was just so well played, creating space, and just well played from both sides. Honestly, Fnatic did very, very well themselves. They were able to hang in there for quite some time. Hani, he was so effective in team fights as well as everyone, but RoX.KIS comes out on top in a big way.
No joke, man. 57 minutes, 10 seconds. Finished up with 58 kills on the board, which is kind of funny because it was so quiet early, and then it just got so crazy, and then it got quiet again as the Benny Hill routine up in the dire jungle had to be massively frustrating for Fnatic. But what a win and what a game out of RoX.KIS. Thanks for being a part of the broadcast, guys. If you missed that one, I feel sorry for you. Make sure you go back and check the VOD when all is said and done. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers, and want to thank you for once again being a part of the broadcast. And there it is. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. Hope you enjoyed the game, and hope you'll stick around for game number 2 of our second best of 3 of the day in this RoX.KIS doubleheader. They lead the series 1-0 over Fnatic. Stick with us. We'll be right back.